What is going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. Your guy, Cody, and Derek here as well. And welcome back to my mock draft 2.0. And so, with now the Carolina Panthers officially trading up to the number one overall pick, doesn't change, obviously, the Colts draft order, but it does change some things when it comes to the top quarterbacks that are going to be available. So, for the sake of this draft, we are just going to keep the Colts at 4, just like you did, Derek. No trades here in this mock draft that I have for Indianapolis. And I'm sure as we get closer to the draft, we can start talking some trades and things of that nature. I will say I do think it is something the Colts should consider, is trading up to number 3 with Arizona. I do think that can be done without surrendering a ton of draft capital. I think it makes sense for both sides because the Colts could include a few players in that deal that could help out Arizona immediately and also not have to give away a lot in terms of, draft capital moving forward. And at the end of the day, they just swap one pick with each other, just ensures the Colts get it, and then still ensures that Arizona gets one of the top, if not the top, defensive player on the board. So with that being said, I'm going to share my screen now. All right, so we are going to start this draft out. I'm obviously drafting for the Colts. And in this mock draft, not trading, obviously, gotta love all these ads, man. It's
I love
absolutely
them.
ridiculous.
Yep.
No,
It's the way to get it free. You know how it
yeah.
is. All
So
right.
in this draft, Derek, which I think is probably one of the most likely drafts, it's kind of been thrown around with Carolina. It's kind of crazy, actually. It's been thrown around. Honestly, all 3 of the top quarterbacks have been thrown around, from Richardson to Young to Stroud. It's funny enough, in the one that we just did, that actually we didn't allow me to pick for the Colts, it actually took Anthony Richardson. So I think that's kind of 50-50. It seems like maybe Frank Reich's more in love with CJ Stroud from what I heard. But from what we've heard,
Yeah.
also Bryce Young could be in the mix, and even Anthony Richardson could be in the mix at number 1 just because of the pure talent alone. But regardless, I
Mhm.
think it's fairly obvious to say 2 of the top quarterbacks are going to be gone, regardless of how you put them here. Now, Derek, obviously, if the Colts sit here in this position, we know Chris Ballard. We know how tempting it would be for him to go and get a Will Anderson or a Jalen Carter here. It really would be tempting. But I think Colts Nation might lose their minds if the Colts do that. So I am going to pick Anthony Richardson here at number 4. What are your thoughts on my first pick here?
I think that's most likely what's going to end up happening. I mean, like you said, if Stroud and Young or end up being the number 1 and number 2 guys, that seems like most likely what is going to end up happening. So I'm good with Richardson at 4, if we could even stay
Yeah,
at 4.
exactly. All right, so here's the interesting thing, Derek. There are a couple guys here that actually are quite interesting. You got Jalen Hyatt out of Tennessee. I don't know how he's still here. You got Ojulari, who's an edge from LSU, who obviously we know the Colts needed edge. And then you got some other guys, like you got Zay Flowers down there.
Yeah.
Another LSU player, Kashawn Booty, or whatever, however you say his name. So there's a lot of options here for Indianapolis. All that to say, and based off of need, man, I think I'm gonna go Zay Flowers here out of Boston College. I didn't think he was going to be available here all the way up. What are your thoughts on Zay Flowers here? Kind of a speedster here to complement Pittman and also to complement obviously Alec Pierce as well.
Yeah, I don't think Jalen Hyatt's going to make it out of the first round, if I'm going to be completely honest. But I definitely think getting Zay Flowers there in that second round would be great. Getting him, he's a shifty guy. He's somebody that has a different skill set than what the Colts have currently. Even if they were to retain, Paris Campbell, I mean, you're in a situation where he's kind of like Naheem Hines mixed with Paris Campbell. So I mean, it would be a great one to get him there in the
Yeah.
second.
And then in the third round here, I'm actually going to go Jalen Jones. He's got the size, man. You look at him right here. I mean, 6'2", 205. Probably a little bit less than Dallar's used to, but still 8.5 is a pretty good RAS score, all considered. And we all know the need the Colts have at corner. So I'm going to go Jalen Jones here in the third round. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I like the idea of going corner in the third round. I mean, if me, I would have potentially gone corner
Yeah.
earlier, But it really is going to all depend on, more towards free agency, who the Colts end up letting go and everything else. But the corners are still really good in the third round of this draft because there's so many of them. So I'm not surprised
Yeah.
by that.
All right. So this is the first one where I'm not entirely sure who I should take. I want to get your thoughts here, Derek. We have already obviously, taken a quarterback, we've taken a wide receiver, and we've taken a corner. And I see, potential other wide receivers, Xavier Hutchinson here. I see Carter Warren, an offensive tackle, Darius Rush, a corner, a couple edge guys here, Will McDonald from Iowa State, and then your guy Zach Harrison out of Ohio State. So what are your thoughts here? Who's a guy that you would be interested here of these guys who are available? Because I'm kind of wondering here.
I feel like a edge guy and Zach Harrison
Let's
would
look at him.
probably appeal to Ballard a lot. I mean, again, the parameters on the guy is
He's
insane.
freaky.
I mean, he's a freakish frame. 6'4", 271 is big. How much of a need that is, though? Again, the Ballard, we know Ballard. He doesn't like to, draft based off of need. It's a lot more of who he deems is the best player available at that time. So, I mean, you never know. I mean, it is one of those things where, Harrison's not a speed edge guy. He's going to be more of the, a guy that's going to play the run a lot better because Zach Harrison's big. Yep. It just ultimately depends on what you're
I'm going to go for that reason right there. I'm going to go Will McDonald. He's a little bit more of the speed rusher guy. Look at him right here. 6'4", 245. Yep. He's got the freaky athletic things that Chris Ballard loves. So I'm going to go Will McDonald, edge from Iowa State. What's your thought on that?
Okay. All right. I like it. I like the idea of it. Edge is a little different. You never know if the Colts are going to be able to get somebody. And just at this point now, you need to start looking for, that replacement, either linebacker or offensive line at that point.
Oh, don't do that.
So I saw you almost
I would have been
that.
so mad. Okay, Derek. I mean, there's no way in heck he falls here.
There's no shot that Oluwatimi is still available.
Oluwatimi's here, round. Man. I mean,
I see him there now, but I just don't think there's any way. I think that even if you're Ballard and somehow, some way, you don't get rid of Ryan Kelly, Oluwatimi at that center position is perfect.
All right. Well, since they gave it to me, I guess I'll pick him here.
All right, we're taking it. We're taking it.
If that happens, we'll be doing cartwheels, man.
Oh yeah, I would love to get all.
I mean, Ryan Kelly. Ryan Kelly on the trading block, so it makes a lot of sense there. We're back here. You talked about linebacker. Here's a linebacker that would be available here. I honestly never heard of this guy. Do you know much about him?
Nope, okay. I don't know anything about Dennis out of Pittsburgh. I don't know much. We just got to base it off of. At this point, you're trying to go for athletes, right?
Yeah.
And hey, listen, there's a guy on there that, maybe we double dip in the receiver category. A certain person in there that I had in my
I didn't see him. Jonathan Mingo, sign me up, man.
Yep. All right, Jonathan Mingo. Hey, the dude had a 9.8 RAS score. Oh, yeah. You know how Ballard likes his RAS scores and guys that are big like that, so that makes a lot of sense.
I couldn't believe he's still there, to be honest with you.
He may not end up being there by the time, round 5 gets around, but, it is possible.
Yeah. Well, now
you're at a point you just need to figure out what kind of depth are you wanting here.
Okay, so there's
you wanting some more interior offensive line depth, you wanting some, offensive tackle depth, or you wanting something else?
I want the backup one tech right now. That's what I'm looking for.
The backup one
tech. The backup reserve guy that'll play behind Grover. It's kind of what I'm looking for.
Hey, I dig it. I can dig it. Yeah, you definitely need that, especially with
this dude is huge. PJ Mustipher.
Oh yeah, Pusher. Yeah, 330.
Sheesh.
Jesus, his RAS is a 1.26.
Probably not, but hey, you know what?
But hey, listen, that's a stuffer, bro. 330.
Only one thing he needs to do well. That's all we need.
Jeez, man.
Getting big.
You should have went with Carl Brooks instead.
Of course.
Could have, but he plays more like what a Tyquan Lewis does.
Yeah.
A guy that can play both inside and outside because he's got the flexibility enough to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
Are you going to go with some interior offensive line help still?
Yeah, I would think about it. The only guy real here is Jerome Carvin from Tennessee.
You can go to your offensive settings up there and then go to your OGs.
Oh, geez.
OG up there, and it'll give you the best available guards remaining in the whole process. I've seen Lorenz Metz play a little bit. I don't know if he has a RAS score.
A lot of these guys don't, but he's big as well.
A lot of these guys don't, but he's huge. 6'9", 325.
Was he athletic at all?
I have no idea. I assume he's been pretty good. He played for Cincinnati. I've watched him play a little bit.
I'm just looking at some offensive line help. We'll go Carvin here.
Yeah, with them Carvin here. All right, we're gonna go with Jerome Carvin. All right.
So
I can
there you go.
it.
My full draft: Anthony Richardson, Zay Flowers, Jalen Jones, Will McDonald, Oluwatimi there at 138, Jonathan Mingo, PJ Mustipher, and then Jerome Carvin to round it out. Derek, what are your thoughts on my mock draft?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. I like, obviously, you're going to suggest getting Richardson at 4. It just depends on which quarterbacks are going to fall to that spot. And then, I would not be opposed to the idea of getting Zay Flowers at 35. He's a freakish athlete, guy that can not only take the top of a defense, but he's a guy that is a great slot receiver, which is great for you if you're getting this new quarterback coming in. Great to have somebody that can get open. Jalen Jones, again, those measurables that Chris Ballard really likes. Will McDonald, same thing. Guy that, is long but thin and has that flexibility that you want to see. Oluwatimi at that spot in the 5th round or in the late 4th round would be huge. Love Mingo, athletic freak. Mustipher, good solid depth, and again, depth for the offensive line with Carvin. I like it, man.
So you noticed I did a lot of athletic traits here. That's kind of the thing we've seen from Ballard last draft, and I think we'll see it again this draft. Obviously Anthony Richardson, 10 out of 10 RAS score. Zay Flowers has that elite speed. Jalen Jones has that size to his advantage. Will McDonald obviously has the freakish build as well. So there's a lot of guys in here that I think are really athletically gifted, and I think that's going to go really well overall for Ballard. There's probably a couple guys that, maybe he'll pick over some other guys. At the end of it, it's so hard with some of these guys. You're just kind of like, whoever they say is the best player with a position of need, I'm going to pick it. That's kind of how I went about it. And so, but I think for the first 4 rounds, I really liked what I did there.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I feel you on that.
All right, cool. Well, this was pretty simple, pretty painless overall. Guys, let me know your thoughts on my mock draft 2.0. Let me know if there's any other guys that you would have picked that maybe were on the board when I did pick. Let me know what you think about potentially having Anthony Richardson as the guy for the future for the Colts. Let us know those things in the comments below, but that'll do it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, go Colts.